I was going to say, it's kept so many kids on the straight and narrow, and just this idea that you go to the gym, you've got somewhere to go.
Those are the ones that go to the gym. What about the ones that'll look at Tyson and think, after a few bevies on the town, I'm going to try that out on that pansy boy over there?
I mean, the strange thing is, you know, where I grew up, you know, I mean, anyone who grew up in a council
Did you do boxing at school?
No, I mean, I did Shotokan karate, also did judo for a couple of years.
Right.
But, I mean, you know, the kids who did boxing, you know, that I knew, became less aggressive. They would never start a fight. And also, I think
Tyson, have you had fights out on the street?
Never had a fight outside the ring.
They'd have to be mad, wouldn't they? Even I can see that.
6'9". Come on.
But anybody ever bit your ankles when you're out on the street?
Yeah, a few of them ankle biters. Got to watch out for them.
But I think it does instill that sense of respect, and also for a lot of those kids, you know, from sort of, if you like, poor areas, you know, like where Ricky Hatton came from, you know, Hattersley and everything. It kind of gives them a sense of confidence. They feel good about themselves, so they don't want to do the drugs. They don't want to hang around with idiots. They don't want to hang around with kids who they think, well, you're soft, you wouldn't have the guts to stand toe-to-toe with me in a ring, and yet you're acting like the hard nut and causing trouble around.
You know, I do get. I mean, Lennox Lewis is the only boxer I really spent any time with, and he is the most chilled-out bloke I've ever met. I mean, really the most chilled-out bloke I've ever met. But I'll say again, do you worry, Zoe, about how it's translated by yobbos in pubs?
I think it's just two totally different things. I think it's completely different. I mean, Tyson, an incredible athlete. He spends hours training as an athlete.
Do you like watching boxing?
I will watch boxing. I don't mind watching boxing at all. I'm a little bit squeamish, so I've never actually been to a live boxing match, but I will watch it on the TV. And I think you've just got to appreciate what incredible athletes these guys are.
Even
and then
if they end up with brain scarring.
But the thing is, it's a risk that they take. Formula One.
Well,
yes.
You know, sort of, I don't know, speedway racing. I mean, I'd hate to watch one of those blokes come off a bike. I hate to watch a car crash.
Yeah.
Do you know, that's much worse than seeing somebody getting punched.
Get their legs broken during games in horrific ways.
Okay. I mean, Kirsty's the phone's ringing off the hook, but they never tell me what you're going to say, so let's find out.
We have Melanie first on line 5.
Cheers, Kirsty. Melanie, good morning.
Good morning.
So are you a pro or anti-boxing person?
Pro, through and through.
Go on then.
Yeah, I'm actually a boxing writer and I'm involved in it on many different levels.
Okay.
I totally disagree with the fact that you say it's not a sport. I mean, if you're going to say boxing is not a sport, then you have to say sword fencing isn't a sport, judo isn't a sport, taekwondo, wrestling, on those grounds, because you're equating what they're doing in the ring to a street fight. And it's totally not a street fight. There's skill and art involved. There's rules to be obeyed, you know.
But still, fundamentally, if Tyson was to do his trade, his sport, out on the streets outside the pub, he would be arrested for a fray, for assault, actually probably GBH, looking at the size of him.
Yeah.
Now, so just because you stick it in a ring and people make millions of pounds off it, suddenly it's a sport?
No, again, I reiterate what I just said, Matthew. You're equating it to a street fight. It's not the street fight.
Melanie's saying if two guys stabbed each other in the street, you wouldn't go, well, they've got that idea from fencing, have they? You know, that's where they've come from.
If someone threw a cricket ball at your head outside of a cricket pitch,
okay.
You know, or rugby tackled you outside the pub on the steps.
That would be assault.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So...
And you, Melanie, as a boxing writer, presumably you've had to deal with the British Medical Association's standpoint, which got a lot louder after Michael Watson. You don't think they know what they're talking about, these doctors?
That is a very broad brush area. If you look at the injury figures in the Department of Trade and Industry on other sports, you'll find boxing right down the bottom of the list.
And horse riding really up the top.
Very much so. And if you think about... One of the toughest men I've ever interviewed was Tony Booth, a journeyman from Hull. And one of the questions I asked him was, do you think boxing's the hardest sport, right? And he said, no. He said, rugby's the one that really scared me. He said, the amount of geezers walking around up here with false elbows, false knees, you know. I think, basically, people get confused with the safety element and the moral element, because I think it's because they see two men punching each other in the ring, they don't understand the technique and the art and the skill involved. You know, they equate that.
I was talking to a guy in the audience, actually, and he said we should be offering degrees in it. Well, seeing as we offer degrees in golf course management, surf management and David Beckham studies, I'm actually not going to disagree with that. Melanie, in fact, you're all making me think, are I appreciate the call, I really do. Let's have another.
OK, we have Patrick next on line 1.
Patrick, good morning.
Hello, everyone.
Are you going to come out and back me on this, then, that boxing's not really a sport?
Well, boxing is a sport, and it's also a skill. It takes dedication, fitness, everything else that goes with it. And it's not what everyone is saying. It's like, oh, you're violent. You're violent, so you're a boxer, so you're violent.
Do you remember? I can't remember the fight when they all rioted inside the arena. That was only about a year.
That was some bloke from Manchester, wasn't it, in Birmingham, when it all kicked off.
Right.
It was that fight.
So this noble art, witnessed live by fans who paid through the nose to go there, this noble art leads to a massive punch-up ringside.
That's a one-off.
Football
hooliganism.
That was more...
In the gentle sport of fly fishing, I've yet to see anybody.
That was more
violent acts.
rival gangs, basically, you know, from Manchester and Birmingham.
OK, so, OK. Patrick, thank you. We've got loads to get through, so forgive me.
OK, we have Trevor next on line 5.
Trevor? Morning, Trevor.
Morning. I'm not into boxing at all, but if it's going to be a sport, then on a Friday and Saturday night in town, when they're boxing together, are they boxing or are they having a scrap?
Well, go on then. You're talking about ordinary people out on the streets?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can they say, no, officer, I'm just having it's just sport.
Yeah. So you say you're not a fan of boxing. Do you
I'm not a fan of boxing. I'm not really into sport, but I just thought it was hypocritical to say that if two men are fighting, it can be a sport, but if it's in the street, it's a scrap.
What about? I mean, I'll be honest here, Trevor. I feel I am definitely on the back foot. I think Tyson's arguments are strong. For everybody on the panel, Melanie on the phones, these are strong arguments that actually, if you look around at other sports, contact sports, they tend to be more violent, that the fans tend to be more aggressive, and it ends with more injuries.
Argument that it's barbaric, and you think it's only barbaric if they were choosing somebody out of the audience to get in with the ring with Tyson. You know, people have chosen to go and do this. It's not the least bit barbaric.
I wouldn't like to watch bare knuckle fighting, you know, for the reason that it would be really violent, there'd be a lot of like damage done to each other. But I tell you what, you know, my kids were always excited about the Ricky Hatton fights and Floyd Mayweather. When I was a kid, I can remember I could hardly sleep waiting for like the Muhammad Ali Joe Frazier fight, and you know, Muhammad Ali George Foreman, you know, before he invented the grill and all that. But you know, I mean, it was so exciting. It was such a big thing at the time, you know, and it was like something you watched with your dad. And
OK. Trevor's clearly clever because he agrees with me, so thank you for that, sir. Got a minute or so left.
OK, we have Susan on line 4.
Morning, Susan. Morning, Susan.
Good morning.
Hi there.
I'd just like to say I'm quite ambivalent about boxing because I'm very aware of the brain damage because the brain damage to a boxer is like shaken baby syndrome to the baby. But I'm of the Muhammad Ali generation, and I thought, well, he was like a god, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But it wasn't just his athletic prowess.
It was a lot of what he did outside of the ring, yeah.
Yes, he had stature as a human being.
And also, you know, black awareness. That I mean, he embodied it really, and led from the front, which you know, a massive cultural shift.
Well, boxing gave him that. I mean, I mean, even Jack Johnson, who was the first black heavyweight champion, you know, back in the 1920s or whatever. There was a famous story about him driving down, you know, speeding through Mississippi, doing 100 miles an hour in his brand new car. Policeman pulled him over, said it's a $50 fine, and he took out a $100 bill and said, "There's $100 and coming back the same way."
Nothing wrong with his brain.
Well, but this was at the time of the old Jim Crow laws, you know, and sort of apartheid there, and also for working classes. What's great, what they love about, you know, sports like boxing and football as well is, it's like 9 times out of 10, the best fighter wins. It's something fair in an unfair world.
Listen. You've won. Yeah. There you go. All right, fair play. Cheers, Susan, for the last call. Now then, I'm going to start with you again, actually, Tyson, if I may. I don't like McDonald's bashing generally, but they do get bashed. 4 McDonald's, the world's biggest, just outside the Olympic Village. Does that sit happily with Olympics and sporting values for you?
Sounds good. Can't wait to get there.
I'll make mine large.
Yeah.
Actually, you probably need
Supersize
it. Yeah. No problems at all?
To be honest with you, it's everyone to his own self. Like athletes, they know already to stay away from the junk
food. But the kids, we've got this massive obesity problem in this country, and McDonald's, they are the whipping boy for obesity, and not fairly, in my view. But it's quite a heavy presence to have, isn't it?
They have, but that's only if you have it for breakfast, dinner, tea, and all snacks as well.
Yeah.
Anything in moderation is okay now and again. Like you can have McDonald's now and again. It's no harm to have. But if you want bar, chocolate, bag, crisps.
Would you eat at McDonald's during training?
Not during training, no. But out of training, I would.
Why not?
Have a McDonald's. Why not? Because I have a fat problem, as you can tell. But my body stores lots of fat, and every time I eat fatty foods or anything junk, it just goes on my sides, and I look a fat pig when I'm boxing. I don't like it when I'm boxing.
Well, I can understand.
Boxing with muffins.
It's not.
But I would look at that as protection. You see, which is another way of. Now, Tyson, little bird tells me that your little un is already imitating Daddy, and because
not Daddy, not Daddy.
Mummy.
No, not Mummy. I tell you the story about it.
Go on.
Went to a training camp for this fight about 7 weeks ago, and we moved down to Heaton Bray, London, just outside London, and there was some little boys up there, there was 4 of them under the age of like 8, and they've got proper like Cockney accents, and we're from Manchester, so obviously we don't speak like that. But my little daughter, when we're in a restaurant, she starts effing and blinding, but it sounds Cockney, so she's heard it from down there.
Now, how old is she?
She's 18 months.
So how do you react to that?
I think it's quite funny, but it's one of their things.
Well, because they don't know what they're saying. But, so do you just let her do it? Do you say...
Obviously not. It's not good for little girls or little boys to swear.
If you ignore it, she'll stop saying it anyway.
Yeah.
Because that's what I wonder, is if you tell them, don't do that, they then know it's naughty, so
exactly,
they'll do it
and she
some more.
keeps doing it even more.
Yeah,
like recently, we was walking around the shopping centre, and she was effing and blinding all the way around. And the more we were saying stop, the more she'd think it's funny and keep doing it.
And do you feel embarrassed, or?
Well, I don't know. It's not very good to say little pretty girl in a princess dress effing and blinding, is it?
No. The funny thing is, I would find that amusing, but then I don't have children, thank heavens, now. But first, respect to you, Tyson. You're a credit to your sport. Best of luck with the fight this Saturday. Don't forget you can catch the big brawl right here on Channel 5 live from 10 p.m. Zoe and Terry, you are a knockout pairing. Thanks for that this morning. Ladies and gentlemen.